I don't need that recording of me just literally on my phone doing nothing. That's not a thing I need. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. That's the actual hello, ladies and gentlemen. So, it's pretty simple, right? This is a cast. All the descriptions are down below where to find us on Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, audio feeds, video feeds. We're going to be streaming soon. New studio you can see behind me. Going to be, on Twitch? We got a bunch of details to announce, but that's not what we're talking about today. Like I said, go to the description, follow us, and get all the updates on GeekVerse. So, okay, so this is a thing that has been talked about for quite a while, right? So the Snyder Cut. This is, if you quickly don't know what the whole history on the Snyder Cut is Justice League happened. Unfortunately, Zack Snyder had to step away, and for years there's been lots of photos, lots of things talked about. There's a version of his movie, and we didn't see of it, and it's a whole type of different movie, right? Now, here's the thing, we'll get into it, that ton of this is... It's very interesting to see because I imagine we're going to get a bunch of press releases, right? But he does this Man of Steel commentary track, and I honestly thought it was not going to happen. I went on a wild ride. So I'm watching, he calls Henry, and I'm like, oh, here we go. This is awesome. It's gonna happen. And I'll say this, I'll get into the fans after, because there's some fans I'm very happy for. There's some fans that's kind of bitter because they got here in like a very shitty type of way, and that's what we'll talk about. It's the flip of the coin, you know? But as far as, I just want this to happen because, one, you know, I am a fan of Zack Snyder. I'm not really a fan of many of those DC films he's made, but I'm a fan of his, and I want his work to be out there. I think sometimes he went about it in a way that might have bugged Warner Brothers, but as people have mentioned, there's new leadership in Warner Brothers, so things change. But so Henry comes in, I'm like, oh, it's happening. And then they do this, we bring in the fans thing for a call. And I thought, oh shit. Because the thing was, it was going on for so long that I'm like, it's definitely not happening. And because they had, I can't remember, one fan had brought up the Snyder Cut and brought up like, oh, when you get, and he's like, it's not really my story deal. So I was like, oh fuck. So they did a good job. They switched and baited me. They really did. Because I was like, no, it's not happening. And I just couldn't imagine, because there's people with sources talking about this and that, but still there had been no major trades like a Variety or Hollywood Report talking about. There's other people with sources that say, hey, I've heard nothing about it. So I think I said that I believed that it was happening, but I didn't 100%. I wasn't bought in. I was like the 51% over, but I thought there's still a chance of everything going completely wrong. So they of course, they're talking about Snyder Cut, and then Henry Cavill just goes, I reckon you should release it. Of course he says reckon, and that's what Snyder, he goes, oh, I can't really release it because there's some work on it. And he turns the screen because he had a movie theater. And he set this up at the very beginning of the commentary track where he showed, oh, Man of Steel, this is where we're going to watch it. And then he did, because I don't remember him doing that last time in BBS, but then he flipped it and he showed the screen and it said it said Zack Snyder's Justice League, HBO Max 2021, which to me, that makes the most sense because I don't know what they're going to do. To me, this would be the effects, I would have to assume, right? Because we've always heard that you've heard the whole story of he had two parts planned out. There's so much stuff that he did not film at all. So there's stuff we're not going to see. So that's one thing I always preference when people saying we're finally going to get the full vision of Justice League and Zack Snyder. I think you're going to get a full vision of what that first movie is or what it kind of changed to be, but you'll never get the whole Batman dying and then fighting. I don't think so, at least fighting Darkseid. But I think with there being additional scenes and things need to be tweaked and effects and all that sort of deal, you need money for that. There is probably a working version of this movie that you could release that you see them all the time on deleted scenes, DVDs and Blu-rays, right? Where it's like you see the actors on a green screen or you see them just wearing like the mocap suits. I think there's a version of that film laid out where it is, okay, he has the Justice League film that we kind of know and not love, and then it's his stuff in between, right? But it's all not edited. It's like it's edited properly, but it's not, the effects aren't there, it doesn't look crisp, it doesn't look like an actual movie. And you could release that working cut, but you'd have to tell the fans and say, hey, this is not a real movie, this is like this is in the middle of production. But with him saying 2021, I imagine they're giving him funding, and that's what it was said before too, that he needs like 20, I've heard 20 to 40 million. So let's just say it's 20 to 40 million. He needs some additional money to complete this, right? So that's why if they're releasing just this assembly cut of the deleted scenes but no effects, that I would say, oh, you're just going to put that out there and tell the fans this is the best thing we got, but still enjoy somewhat of his vision. with it being 2021, and they didn't put a date on it, which is also I'm very interested. We'll talk about after with what's coming out that year. They didn't put an official date on it, so it's 2021, the same year as the Batman, and it's very interesting that's coming out. Because if you ask me, I'm very, very happy for all the fans. If you ask me, I thought there was a chance this would come out, but I did not think for a long. I think there's definitely times in my life that I thought, no, there's no way, and especially because things change, right? Because leadership changed at A&T and Warner Brothers, and there's so many people that had gone on record and said, oh, it's never happening. Like, I'm not going to drop the names, but there's certain people that would said, no, it's never going to happen. And then they've gone to delete those tweets, and they've been like, well, it's happening now. So it's just like, I'm someone when at some point I definitely did not believe this was a thing with the information I had, but then as it went further, okay, there's definitely some sort of thing. The fact that they're going 2021 means they are working on it, they're putting money towards it, and they don't have it at launch, but they also have the hype build up. They also have a potential Comic-Con if they want to, if who knows when it releases. But for me, it's just interesting because I thought this would happen, but I thought this would happen years and years down the line. I was honestly thought 10 years wasn't a bad option. I thought 10 years was possible, even 5, because I just thought with all these things, with Wonder Woman, Birds of Prey, but specifically the Batman, I thought they were really moving in a different direction. I just thought that, well, they are, but I thought they were like really moving away from it. I want you to ignore that. And that was definitely old Warner Brothers, but AT&T being on the charge went, you know what, there's money to be made here. Because there's a very passionate fan base, whether it's the passionate ones or the bad ones. All I say is to you people as well, for everybody, if you fully support Zack Snyder and you fully support the Snyder Cut and all this stuff, you gotta pay for HBO Max, or if there's a Blu-ray or something like that, you pay for this movie. Because if you guys, a bunch of people just fucking torrented, you defeat your cause. So, and I'm not saying that's everyone, I'm just saying I've seen that a lot from people. People build up and it's like, I'm just gonna torrent, it's easy to get. Especially with streamers and whatnot, HBO Max, you'll be able to pull it from there. If you really want to support this, you got to do HBO Max. If there's a survey, you put, I was here because of Zack Snyder, blah, blah, blah. If there is a Blu-ray, you buy it. Just don't hurt that cause anymore. And before I get more into DC, as far as the fans, there's always been two sides. And I know this. I've talked about this many times with the Geek Ultimate Alliance people. Check out June 1st. We have a podcast network launching. And tons of those people, like Greg, it's BVS's favorite movie. And they've been wanting this for a while. And those are the people I put in the camp of good, genuine people that are nice, and they've just wanted to see Zack Snyder's vision of the movie. And that's what I'm happy for them, and I'm happy for all these people, because I don't like Man of Steel. I like BVS, but I don't think it's a good movie. But I appreciate, one, he did not get to complete his film. And like I said, I don't know if he fully gets to complete it, really. But two, I'm just happy for these fans that they can get it and also just kind of move on and maybe have some clarity. And I hope it's as good as they want it to be. I think there's a lot of hype on it. This to me it's became a monster, and the fact that they're going to release this and hope that it's going to do financially well. I am wondering if it's HBO Max. I don't think they'll release it theatrical at all, but I hope for these fans it hits every button they've wanted to be pressed. It's just, I think that's a lot of hype, and I'm somebody speaking from the outside. I'm somebody that was ready to move on from Zack Snyder's vision because I'm not a big fan of it. I don't agree with a lot of his choices. Even when I watch his commentary tracks for BVS or Man of Steel, and he talks about things like, I understand why you went that route. I just don't, I don't think this is the greatest adaptation of these characters. If you look at some of Zack Snyder's comments about Batman and like the only way he could be dark is if he was raped in prison, I'm not a guy that really thinks Zack Snyder sees the right vision of Batman. So I think there's things, and I think he's a great filmmaker. I think more on the visual side, storytelling, I don't know. So I'm happy for them, and I'm happy for all those people that were nice about this, that have done kind things for charity, that have really wanted this. So good for you guys. For the other side, that's the only thing that is a little shitty, is you kind of get, which sucks, right? Because it is this, a few bad apples spoiled a bunch. But there, for my opinion, was a lot of bad apples. There was, as far as GeekVerse, we've never really got any negative criticism as far as like, really, like, we hate you, you're biased, you're paid off. In that Zack Snyder, that was the only time we've ever got that. Either way. And we got that for even people like Taylor, who Taylor gave Beavis a 9 out of 10. And he gave Suicide Squad a 10 out of 10. But if he would do anything, like just say, they're doing this wrong, or I don't like this, they'd go after him. That's why he calls them DC fuckboys. Because that's a guy who fucking loved those Zack Snyder, like, era DC movies. And people were saying, you're not a fan of, you criticize one thing. So that was the thing I've seen personally. And that's the one shitty thing, that it shows, for these people, they're those people that are like this, the worst of the worst, that harassed or gave death threats, everything like that. Their mind's so twisted that I don't think this is going to stop, and I think this is going to make it. It could make it a little worse. My hope is that they see it, they get clarity, they can take off all the release the Snyder Cut off their hashtags and their Twitter bios and their Twitter names and all that sort of stuff. But I do worry that if they do this, now they're going to be like, now we want Justice League 2 with Zack Snyder. Because you look at Warner Brother comments, like in Twitter, someone passed away, and it was like, oh, we were really sad by the loss of this actor or actress. And then the comments were just flooded with like, hashtag release the Snyder Cut. That's not the place for it. Those people are pathetic. Those people have no lives. Those people are doing nothing, right? It's just like when there's someone passed away, that's not the time to talk about just a movie. Because at the end of the day, I'm very happy people are getting this, but it's just a movie. Look at COVID-19. There's so much bigger things going on right now than will we get this movie. So I'm happy for the people that were genuine and nice about and are fans and are kind. The people that aren't, that's what kind of sucks, and it's kind of a little bitter. And honestly for me, because it's just kind of like, well, these people got to be assholes about it and got to harass people and be really shitty, but then they also get what they want. So it's a catch-22, right? It's hard to, I know that there are some, especially people like, I don't really care because it doesn't really bug me, but especially higher up, people that really got railroaded or got death threats, stuff like that, and if they take it personally, it is just kind of, that's the thing, that the Snyder Cut, just those words, the Snyder Cut, comes with a simple, might be small, a loud, very, very loud minority, but it does come with this baggage. It comes with a little like, we still have this bad batch that never goes away. So my hope is that this film comes out and they go away. Will that happen? I don't think so, but you gotta try to stay positive. So what it means for DC and Warner Brothers and AT&T, if you've looked in this past few weeks, apparently there is a bad relationship between Warner Brothers and AT&T, where Warner Brothers is wanting to go one route, but AT&T, being the leader of it, goes, no, you're going to go the route we want. We'll consider what you want to do, but at the end of the day, we because if you don't know, they purchased Warner Brothers, they bought them out. We call the shots. And that could be a good or bad thing, because we've heard, there's been multiple rumors going around of them doing a Superman movie and maybe Henry Cavill come back. There's been other rumors about The Rock has apparently been trying to get Henry to do, maybe, I don't know if it is Black Adam, but there's been rumors that he's been pitching for Henry Cavill to come back, and then there's been talks of, it might be happening. To me, it's like, can you have the best of both worlds? Because for me, when I was talking about earlier, when it releasing after like 5-10 years from now, I thought the reason we want to do that is because they want to make the Batman. They want to make a bunch of new DC IP, at the time Supergirl, establish this new, not even continuity, just these new players, this new IP, this is their own brand, and then eventually like, oh yeah, remember when we made Justice League? Here's Zack Snyder's version, or here's a documentary about it. The fact, and that's where another thing with the toxic fans, where it's a little, I can't say a little worried. I am worried as far as, so it comes out the same year as Robert Pattinson's The Batman, 2021. I'm hoping that if it comes out in 2021, it comes out early 2021, because there's enough separation. But you're going to get, I'm just talking about just the toxic fans, the fans that are cool, that's awesome, and I think they'll be like, hey, I get a version of Zack Snyder's Justice League and I get a new Batman film, that's awesome. But you know there's going to be some assholes out there that get that Justice League and then go, this isn't my Batman, fuck Pattinson. You're going to see all these, you're going to have some new hashtag about bring back Batflick or something that just flooded with these movies. And it's not that big of a deal, right? Because it's just social media. It's just kind of like a lame thing to see. And why I hate it is because it still makes fanboys and fangirls look dumb and stupid. Like some of the reasons I don't like Big Bang Theory, when they just, this is the image of a geek and that's all they are. That's what I hate, when you go look at the comments and it's just like, why are people spamming release the Snyder Cut on someone's dead like obituary post? It's like, yeah, you make us still look pretty shitty. You make us look like the losers they portrayed in the 80s. You know, that's what sucks. So that's why I don't want that personally. And I just want people to be happy. I want people to release their toxicness. So hopefully when this movie comes out, they will release that, and I'll just be like, good, I got my movie. But I do worry, I want more Ben Affleck, I want more Zack Snyder. So I think they need to be clear on that in the marketing, that this is a kind of a send-off. Is it though? Because is it kind of a send-off if Henry comes back and we still have Gal running around, we still have Aquaman running around, and it's tough because over the years I did not like Zack Snyder's vision, but then over the years, who knows if this is true or not, because things change, right? All the time. Look at this. At one point, Zack Snyder's cut was never going to happen, and now it's happening. But there's been words over the past few years that, okay, Zack Snyder was kind of planning this 5-film arc, and he was going to be done with it and move on. This would just be this pocket of the universe, and then they could do whatever they wanted. At the time when BVS and Man of Steel were all happening, We didn't know that. We knew, hey, Travis, it's nice to see you in the chat. Check out Superhero Discussions, and he's going to be doing some other stuff for us on Geek Ultimate Alliance June 1st. I'll read your, Travis, I'll read your comment in a second. I just have to finish this point. Where was I going? I don't know. I'll read it now. Travis Hines, that's my logic. I get Snyder's take on Justice League. I get Patterson's Batman. Have to remember the talks people who hate BVS because this whole universe to change. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing where I hope people just look at it and they go, okay, I get the best of both worlds. But, that's what I was talking about. Zach originally pitched it apparently as kind of an Elseworlds sort of tale. For me, and I think other fans that were not prepared for that, prepared for a darker Batman running off the jump and everything like that, in the sense of maybe murdering people, which I love that he always had some fun, the BVS commentary track. Zack Snyder, he's a fun guy. I love Watchmen. I love Dawn of the Dead, and I'm very excited for his Netflix film this year. I hope it's still coming out this year with Batista. I think Zack Snyder and Batista is such a fun combination, but so if they would have told me this was a film series we wanted to do with Zack, and it was kind of like an Elseworlds tale, I would have been much more fine with that, especially something like Gotham. The show Gotham, not that good. And as far as compared to Batman lore, I would not say it's great. It does not follow any of that type of stuff. It really takes its own path. But that's the thing where, for me, it felt like, okay, we are doing our version of the MCU, a DCU, whatever you want to call it, because there's 1,000 names, but I still call it the DCU. We're going to make it, and it's going to branch off and be our central universe. And for me, I just thought, I think this is a bit too much of a different take, or it's a bit too divisive to be the core universe. It's the same way as I didn't want Disney to buy X-Men or Fantastic Four. I still wanted the Logans. Marvel, I think we've gotten close to that sometimes with some really dark stuff. I think Black Panther is the closest we've gotten to tackling some really real world material. But I do want them to do, hey, we are going to do a what if story of, they never will because it's probably Disney, but like a really deep demon in the bottle storyline about Tony Stark being an alcoholic. I like the versions of, we can get Aquaman, this bombastic, huge kind of turn off your brain blockbuster, and then something like Joker where it's this deep indie drama. I like all that. So I'm down for the differences, and that's where I'm down for too if there is a version. I don't think Ben Affleck's coming back, not because of any of this drama. I just think because it's his own. He's doing great. Have you seen photos of him? He looks fucking healthy again. Like there was a time where even in Justice League when they did those reshoots, you could tell his skin, like look at his skin, the way they do his makeup, you can tell that's someone they're trying to hide wrinkles, they're trying to hide stress, everything like that. Look at him in his photos. Now he looks like he's being back to normal. He's with Ana de Armas, so he's winning right there. He's fine. I would love him to come back. I would love him to come back and do a send-off and anything, and I know people have wanted Pattinson's movie to possibly be a prequel to Ben Affleck. I think from the photos they've shown that's not possible because just the time frame, it looks like it's present day. So if Ben Affleck gets a send-off, great, but I'm not expecting that just for his personal reasons. I think even if the Justice League, the Joss Whedon version came out and was a massive hit, I still think there's in the timeline of that, Ben Affleck would have left. Not because the drama, I think it didn't help, but I think he needed a break. And look, he did need a break, and he's doing really good. So as far as can they coexist, I don't know, because if they do, then you get in the whole, is there a Flashpoint? And then you get in the whole, like, is there Ezra Miller still around? I think they need to just maybe do the Wonder Woman approach where if Henry's back, that's great. Henry's back. He's back in the cape, and I want that. He's my pitch for Wolverine, but if I have to choose, I want him as Superman. And I'm a big example. I don't like Man of Steel. I think it's a very overrated movie. I can't say overrated because I think it's overrated by a certain group of people because some people really shit on it. I don't shit on it. I just don't think it's that good. I think there's a lot of problems with it. But the thing is, he's great as Superman. He's great as, I was going to say he's great as Henry Cavill. He's great as Clark Kent. And especially in Justice League, that's one of the only positive things I can say about that movie is when he was the Superman that I do prefer. I do prefer more the Boy Scout, Captain America type. He was phenomenal, and he's only gotten better with I'd say Mission Impossible, but The Witcher really showed his range of acting. He's blowing up, and I talked about this. Check out Super Civil Servants podcast. They're going to be on the network as well. They're doing DC Alliance. I talked about this that I just don't understand. Hopefully AT&T sees this, is Henry Cavill he's building. His star is growing. Witcher became the most downloaded show last year. He is, and people... Guys like, it's that old wrestling terms, right? Guys want to be him and girls want to be with him. He's a hunk of a dude that can bring in tons of females, and I think dudes just respect him because he's a cool guy. He's always built like a tank, and he's so passionate. How much mud has been slung in his face to be wanting to be Superman, in my opinion, by Warner Brothers? And I think Warner Brothers, I understood sometimes why they wanted to change and do a different route after BVS because of the reception. I don't think they are completely wrong, and we got Joker out of that and stuff, but not every situation is black and white, right? And the fact that they just cast Henry Cavill to the side, I think my host, Chris from Marvel Alliance puts it the best way, that he was a scapegoat. And that's exactly what it is. And that's the crappy thing about it. He's not the writer director. What he did when he showed up to act as Superman, to me, he knocked that out of the park. I think sometimes the dialogue wasn't there in the story, but he did his job well. So, and I do think, so Warner Brothers has to, well, clearly, imagine if there was a situation where Warner Brothers didn't green light this and Zack just went HBO Max, like it was some really strong arm negotiating, but no. So they clearly knew about this, right? And I talked about this in the group chat with some of the Geek Alliance people of why Wednesday in the morning. It's because HBO is launching in the next few weeks. They want to add that to the lineup. They want to add that to the commercials. People pointed out that Justice League wasn't in their lineup. So now they can go and say, hey, it's not there yet, but it's coming. To me, it would have, if it was coming on a weekend, which would have made sense. I'm luckily not working at this moment. I work at nights, but I watched it and it's just like, why would you do a random Wednesday? Not even wait till the anniversary of the movie coming out, which I think is sometime in June, right? So we kind of had a feeling, and I did. That's why I put myself on the 51% camp of it happening, but there were still things it wasn't. But either way, it happened. Warner Brothers clearly gave the green light, or whoever did. He's gotten the green light from AT&T. Whoever is in charge of HBO Max has given the green light to this. He has a fucking graphic made that's called Zack Snyder's Justice League. It says HBO Max 2021. So, oh boy. So, if they're backing him, I would think that Henry Cavill being on this call is not a mistake. He's the star of this universe, right? If you want to think about it in that way, he's the Downey, he's the Hugh Jackman, he's the guy who was there since the beginning, and he has been carrying the flag for Superman. To me, if he wasn't on this, I'd still go, there's a chance, but a little more likely. I'm definitely in the percent chance of he's gonna be back as Superman. I actually think this now, because if he wasn't a part of this, it could just be for the Snyder Cut, true, but if he wasn't a part of this announcement, I'd say it's a toss up. The fact that he was, because this definitely was powered by whoever's running HBO Max. I'll keep saying Warner Brothers, but it might be Warner Brothers saying you have to do this. Warner Brothers went to Zack, and Zack goes to Henry. Because especially, I felt like Henry, if you notice when they did that, it was the anniversary BVS, or it was the anniversary Justice League, wasn't it? And that's when Gal Gadot tweeted out, released the Snyder Cut, and that's when Ben Affleck tweeted out, released the Snyder Cut. Everybody was going on about that except for Henry. I think Henry, at the time, he's the most political of them, and not talking in a left and right sense, just in the sense of he's looking out for his career. And the same way when they approached him apparently to do the Shazam cameo, and he said, I'll do it, but I need to know what the plans are. And they said, well, we have no plans, but still come cameo. And he's like, no. But he never said anything. He released that video of him with that toy and the music, but he is not like the rest of them. He's not like Zack, where I feel like Zack is very vocal. That's a good thing or bad thing, whatever line you fall on that. Henry's very much, in my opinion, sit in the back, letting the chips fall, and he'll speak when he needs to. And I think Zack going him and saying, hey, we got the green light from Warner Brothers to release this, and you're the dawn of all this. Cheap, I've forgotten what the word is. I have no idea what the word I was going to say. But anyways, he was the start of all this. You would have to think that they have it in their mind. At least conversations are going on right now, because Henry, I don't think would have just, I think if it's like BVS where he did that stream, if it would just been Zack Snyder doing a Man of Steel commentary track and that's it, I do believe, and you can say I'm wrong, but I do believe that Henry Cavill wouldn't have been on the stream. I think that it would have been, I'm still trying to, maybe he would have retweeted about it or something, but he just was so absent from this other Snyder Cut stuff, right? But the second you get the green light from the big boy studio or big girl studio saying, hey, we're going to put funds into this and we're going to market it and it's going to be a big thing, because it could be a big thing. It could be a whole nother big release for them, really, on their schedule. Like, we're talking about like theatrical and digital and all this right now with COVID. Even if COVID hopefully is all gone or helped, or at least we're semi getting back to normal by the time this movie release, it's still going to be appointment television. I'm the I don't know how I'm going to watch it because I know how I'm going to watch it. I don't have HBO Max in Canada, but I will use a VPN to get that. I'm sorry. I pay for it. Or if it goes to Crave, I'll watch it. I will find a way. I've always wanted to watch the Snyder Cut. So I think it's appointment viewing. In my last few points here, I think it's appointment viewing. I think Zack Snyder, as far as his future with DC, I would say that is... that's tough. I don't think... It depends who's in charge, right? I guess, because I would say old camp. Let's say if it was mostly old camp and then just said, we just want you to put it out there so we can make some money and just so the whole thing's done. Then I'd say they're both going to part ways and say, hey, we're happy we came back together. Same way with James Gunn and Marvel and Disney. There's part of me that thinks, because he said he's not doing another Guardians, he's talked about how DC, this movie, has been the funnest time he's ever had on set. There's part of me that thinks that the second James Gunn comes back, he does Guardians Galaxy Volume 3, he's going to do it, he's going to run and never look back. He's never going to go back to Disney and Marvel, because at the end of the day, it's right for both of them to get back together, but there's still probably a little bitterness of you fucked me. You lead me over tweets, and there's times where I think Disney was just in doing that. They're a publicly traded family company. There's times where maybe they should have maybe not acted so hastily, but I understood both sides, but I could understand his side of you fucked me. I don't want to get fucked again. I really want to close out Guardians, because to him, he talks about how personal that is. So this could be that, where Zack Snyder goes, hey, I never got to complete this. This is terrible things happened to make sure he couldn't complete that, out of his control. And he just wants to right the wrong, come back and be like, I want to complete the movie that I was making. And then he does it. They high five. They make some money together. They're happy. They move on. Zack Snyder does whatever he wants. So he's at Netflix, which imagine they give him carte blanche to do whatever he wants. Then it opens up that, does this open a door for Man of Steel 2? With him specifically. I don't know. I would say I don't think so. I know people always go on about fans versus critics and all this stuff. I just think that even then, I still feel among fans, those movies were divisive enough. Now, him working with DC or Warner Brothers entirely, I wouldn't write out of the picture after this. And I could see if there's a way to maybe make something a smaller budget that could work. But also, a point is if the Snyder Cut, when the Snyder Cut comes out, fuck, that's weird to say. When the Snyder Cut comes out, if it's a massive success for HBO, if they get a bunch of subscribers, everything, if it's a mediocre, if it does fine for them, I think that's when they'll do the high five handshake. We did some business together, good, let's split away, and then maybe we'll work together in the future. But if it's a massive business, then maybe, and Travis points this out to me all the time, Travis Hines, of BVS and Superman, Man still did great in Blu-ray and DVD sales. He always says with the asterisks of it was a different time, more physical media, but there is still something to that they sold so well, right? So if that's kind of the same thing where it does good Blu-ray sales, does good subscriptions, do they open that door again potentially? Because at the end of the day, it's tough, right? You're looking at it from a business point of view. They're definitely, and that's where AT&T is looking at this right now. This is a full-on business move, because there is people that are passionate about these films, but if you look at the broad, as far as critics and stuff like that, they didn't review the greatest, right? And if you look at Justice League, which I know lots of people always say, because Joss Whedon gone there, I still think a lot of Justice League's lack of success was because lots of people did not like BVS. People can say, it was because no one knew a fuck about Joss Whedon doing that film other than us geeks, inside baseball, right? As it went on, and I could say, okay, opening weekend it comes out, it's not a good film, then that word spreads. But it was one of the lowest openings for DC. So that's the thing where I say, no, that was just people were divided on it. So that's where it is the risk of, hey, are there enough people still on board to get this going? And that's where we need to see with these numbers, right? Tony Walton in the chat says, I feel like within the next year and a half, they will announce Man of Steel 2 with a different director. That's why join our YouTube, but also in the next few weeks, we're going to talk about Phase 3 starting. We're going to be live streaming most of our podcasts. You get to see us record live, then it'll be on the feed. We're going to jump over to Twitch. It's going to be a fun time. We got a whole new studio. You can see a bit of it behind me. Go to our Facebook and Twitter. As far as I see that. I think Henry, if I had to a gun to my head, Henry's back. Zack Snyder's not back. He's working with him, but he's not back. But you never know. I like I said, I think that there's a lot of ifs as far as Zack Snyder directing another Warner. And who knows? Maybe he doesn't want to do it. I know they even talked about it a few times where, maybe a third film. I think Zack is very passionate about these. Do I want to see that? For me personally, no. I would like to see that for other fans. I don't know if I'd even like to see that for Superman. I think he has a great visual style. I don't know. I don't personally want that. I want him to go on and do better things or other things. I think Zack Snyder's, I don't know. It's tough because none of his work's been too original, right? Because 300 is a graphic novel, Dawn of as a remake. But I've always said this. I want him to make something really original. So that's why I'm very excited for the Netflix film, because that's, as far as I know, that's his story. That's his movie. It's not based upon anything. I want to see what he can do with that when it's not being judged by everybody else, including myself. So as far as some of these last points, and I guess, like, again, with 2021, the Batman also coming out, it's an interesting spot, and that's why I feel like you gotta separate them. The Batman's it's now what, 2021 October. That's a good thing with Snyder Cut, is they might be able to be working on this right now with effects, post production, all this stuff. They can be working on that, where the Batman is shut down. There's a chance Batman doesn't even come out next year, so maybe they're banking on that. I don't know. It's an interesting time. So last few points, Snyder Cut's coming up. I'm very happy for all those people that were nice and genuine. Like I said, it's an exciting time. I'm excited to see it. It's going to be a very fun ramp up. We're going to get a trailer. There's going to be tons of stuff. Like I said, if there's a Comic-Con, we're going to get that. You're going to get the cast maybe reunited. There's tons of fun stuff they could do with this. As long as Ezra Miller's not going around choking people, they could have some really fun cast interviews. Henry Cavill, I think, is definitely coming back. I think he's a whole part of this wheel. I think even without intentions of bringing him back, you don't need him for these calls. It's fun, but you really don't need him. And I think he would have been like, okay, I'm happy that Cut's coming out. I'll retweet it because I'm going to get money from this and everything like that when people watch it. But at the end of the day, I'm moving on with my life. I think they've kind of said, hey, fly on back, buddy. Like, let's talk. People love you. Because I think that's one thing. You could find, maybe I'm wrong, but you could find some of the most critical, toxic haters of Man of Steel and those type of bad fans, and maybe not the worst of the worst, but some people like myself, I don't like Man of Steel. But most people say Henry Cavill did a good job and he did a good Superman. And there, to me, in my opinion, as someone that doesn't like Man of Steel, there's a good Superman waiting to happen. There's a great Superman waiting to happen with Henry Cavill. Zack Snyder's working again with Warner Brothers. Is he going to be working with them in a bigger capacity? I don't think so. I think DC's still going a different direction. I think they've had lots of success. Birds of Prey withstanding, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Joker. Joker, look how much that movie cost. $1 billion movie. I think, even with his films, with how divisive they were, they're still an era they were a little disappointing in some aspects, right? And I don't know if they want to bargain on that. But like I said, if HBO Max launch of the Zack Snyder Cut is massive, money rises, or money makes winning happen, and then winning is kind of water rises, all tides. I can't even say the saying. Rising tides raise all ships. So there you go. So if HBO Max Zack Snyder's Cut makes lots of money and does lots of buzz, and it's pretty well, because I guess it'll be re-reviewed. I'm gonna re-review it. If it's all, looking really good, making lots of gravy, they're going to want to maybe do more. And maybe you get a Man of Steel 2 with Superman and, well, of course with Superman, but with Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill. I don't know. It's a very interesting time. Let me know on Twitter and Facebook what you think about this. Are you for it? Are you against it? And not even if you're against, just like if you're feeling bad. Because I know there are some people that do feel like it might be a warring bulliness. I'm trying to think that Zack Snyder's never promoted any of that type of stuff. Just focus on the positive, hope for the best, go in with open mind. Even if you don't like the film, watch it. It's going to be a fun time. So thank you very much for joining me. Oh my goodness, I need some water. That's what I need, because I'm tripping all over my words. I'm going to freehand it. Thank you very much for joining me for this special episode. It was crazy that it was actually happening, but it's happening. Yeah. No release of Snyder Cut. It's coming. So have a good one. And I promise